Hey folks! Today's video is going to be the second part of my, I guess, two-parter video about brands, marketing, graphics, aesthetics, just like the overall look of a brand. And the last time I talked about brands, I talked about ones that make my heart go pitter-patter because I love them so much. Now today we're going to be talking about some brands that I just, in my personal opinion, feel like need a little bit of an update, whether it's like a complete rebrand as far as like design and everything, or if it's just like a few tweaks here and there. But I've compiled a list of brands and we're going to talk a little bit about the brand art, the overall design, and maybe what I would do, you know, what they could do to update things. Because some brands really need to be updated, because some of them have been the exact same for a very long time. But before we jump into everything, I would like to say that today's video is sponsored by Cozy Earth. So let's jump to ad roll Abigail. Today's video is sponsored by Cozy Earth. And while Cozy Earth does stock premium bedding as well as loungewear, I got to try some of the loungewear and holy moly, this is so soft. When I got everything in the mail, they came in these really nice little like laundry bags that I could use to actually wash them to keep them separated if I wanted to. But if anything, it's just super convenient to have as like a separate laundry bag. And yeah, I got the ultra soft bamboo jogger pant as well as the ultra soft kind of top. All of their products are made of a super soft viscose from a sustainable bamboo, and they are comfy. Like, I wore these to bed, I wore them to work, I wore them out to the grocery store. I can wear them anywhere. They actually use what they call their premium weave technology for a finer weave that makes it softer and it keeps it from pilling. And I've actually washed the pants about 3 times now. And normally on like regular cotton pants, I would have some sort of pilling like in the inner thigh, and I haven't had any issues with pilling yet. One thing I found super interesting when reading about the fabric, and now I've gotten to experience it, both with the bedding and with the loungewear, is that the fabric naturally wicks moisture, which reduces humidity and it helps to regulate your body temperature. So for all you night sweaters out there, this is actually a really great option for you. I'm not super sweaty at night, but I will say Josh is a human furnace, as I like to call him. So this helps kind of regulate that and keep me from getting too overheated when I do actually want to wear pants to bed, because it's cold out lately and we've been keeping the heat on in our room. And so this has actually been really nice to keep me from getting too toasty at nighttime. And because it naturally wicks moisture, it kind of works in all seasons. The way that these are styled, they're less of a like pajama pant kind of style and more of a jogger style. So you can wear them out. And if any of this does sound good to you and you would like to try any of Cozy Earth's products, you can risk-free for their 100-night trial. And if you don't like it, you can return it within 100 days, no problem. That's over 3 months of trying bedding and clothing. Like, that's a pretty sweet deal. So if you would like to try any of Cozy Earth's products, go to cozyearth.com/AbbieW or click the link below and use my code AbbieW at checkout to get 40% off your purchase. That's cozyearth.com/AbbieW or click the link below to use my code AbbieW at checkout to get 40% off your purchase. Thank you so much to Cozy Earth for sponsoring today's video, and now let's get back to the brands. Some of these are going to be a little bit predictable based on my opinions on things in the past. But we'll get started with those ones because I feel like those are going to be the easiest ones for me to talk about. First being Too Faced. Now, I've had my general problems with Too Faced designs in the past. Half the time they market products that are very childish looking, and then half the time they market things that are super, super risque. And I've always kind of felt some kind of way about that. It feels a little bit weird that their two-facedness goes between like princess childlike to not that. Too Faced logo and their overall marketing has kind of remained the same throughout the years, at least since I've been like consuming YouTube content. If there were subtle things along the way, it really hasn't been that noticeable. And I feel like the kind of scripty font worked back in the day, and it worked with other things maybe a decade ago really well. But now a lot of these brands are kind of moving, not saying that every brand needs to have the same kind of marketing, but it just feels really outdated, and it feels like they could do something really cool with a duo of fonts where they could do something that was a little bit more scripty and then something that was a little bit more like kind of straight sans serif or serif font. But it's been so much the same for so long that it's starting to get really boring as far as like the overall branding. They definitely kind of jump between things from collection to collection, but yeah, it feels like a lot of deja vu, and even the products themselves feel like a lot like deja vu when the actual palettes feel very similar to each other. So having some sort of like brand redesign, I think would really do them probably a bunch of good, honestly, because I think a lot of it just gets so samey all the time, and I'm never really excited about Too Faced products.
Next.
Urban Decay, for a lot of the same reasons. Urban Decay actually did go through a major redesign. They definitely changed a lot of things since I first started buying their makeup. Honestly, I think it was for the worst. They watered down their brand with this redesign that they did, and it's not nearly as like cool, fun, and edgy as it was when it first started, because with a brand name like
Urban Decay,
there's so many things that you could do with that. There's so many things that they could have like switched up from the initial kind of branding, but still made it cool and different and like current for the time. The overall marketing for it now, again, is just so watered down that it doesn't really have a lot of the same flavor that Urban Decay had when they first started. I feel like changing up the font a little bit, changing up the product design, I think like kind of nixing the single shadows in those horrific plastic containers, like everything is so bulky for the most part, except the naked palettes. It's weird because the naked palettes, as confusing as they are, they're actually packaged really well, and they actually have like do a good job at like it's clean. They need to get rid of all those palettes that come with brushes in them because nobody keeps the brushes in there. Every brand needs to do that. No brand needs to come out with palettes that have extra openings and extra slots for other products. Stop it. We will get to that shortly. But Urban Decay definitely lost their edge. And like looking back at old things that Urban Decay used to put out and like the products themselves, I was like, dang, they were kind of out there, and now they're not. And I want them to be out there again. Please, thank you. Now is the time to return to weird and wild and wacky Urban Decay. Please, thank you. Benefit, also same reason. Benefit for the across the board. Benefit is such a confusing brand. It really is. And I know that like they're much bigger in the UK, I believe, from what I've heard. They do much better over there than they do here. Because I feel like whenever I hear people talking about Benefit products, it's either positive when they have a product to launch or release or collab with them, or it's like, why are they releasing the same products over and over again? Ding ding, me. With Benefit, again, their font is very outdated, and they really need to change it. It's just so 2002 to look at. Like, I get having like a logo that you stick with, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel classic in the same way other ones do. There's some brands that have stuck with the same logo for all of time, and it works because of the actual like logo itself. It doesn't really fit any specific time frame. It doesn't really feel out of date. It just feels kind of, I don't know, eternal. You know, besides their logo and their overall brand aesthetic being boring, the fact that they release these same products over and over again is a testament to how boring they are, personally. I get wanting to kind of keep a theme, but a theme doesn't have to be, let's put the same 5 powder cheek products in different palettes, please. Like, Benefit, stop, please. And then IT Cosmetics, I think, needs to kind of rein it back a little bit as far as the products that aren't like face products. I think the logo's always been a little bit dorky, like the IT being in like a scripty handwritten font, and then Cosmetics being in just a basic sans serif. It is sans serif, right? Yeah, no, it's a sans serif font. And when I talk about serif versus sans serif fonts, I didn't think I'd be getting into typography today. Serif fonts have the little like feet on them. So if you look at the letter T in Times New Roman, it like goes down and it has the little feet on the end. And then the top, it has the little feet at the bottom. Sans serif fonts are just blocky. It doesn't have the feet. So those are serifs. So the logo itself, is just kind of dorky. And then the actual packaging, it looks very clinical. It somehow looks very clinical, but also very flashy at the same time. The like holographic packaging is a little bit kind of outdated, and something about having pictures of like the before and after things on the packaging is kind of weird. It feels like hair dye that you buy from the drugstore. You know, the packaging gives me that vibe. Clairol that you buy from the drugstore to dye your hair from a box. That's what it reminds me of. I want them to just like update a little bit. You know, it just feels, like I said, both clinical and also kind of tacky. Next, this is one that I actually like some of their products, and I've talked about kind of my gripes with some of their packaging before. Cover Effects, their packaging is so pared down, and that's fine, like it works. Like I feel like other brands who have super pared down packaging, like it works, like NARS I think works because something about the actual like typography and the design of the products themselves works. And Cover Effects, a lot of their products come with white packaging, and I hate white packaging. I hate white packaging. Like if it's something that's supposed to add color to your face, don't put it in a white package. Maybe highlighters. Highlighters can work in a white packaging, but blush or bronzer, don't put in white packaging. I hate white packaging. I feel like it gets dirty really fast. I feel like it doesn't look really nice. Something about white plastic, to me, it doesn't look as luxurious as like a black plastic. Like if you're gonna have plastic packaging, like you're gonna have plastic packaging, but the white versus black, it just looks better in the dark color. I don't know. I like it better. And I feel like with the white packaging, Cover Effects, it just doesn't jump off the shelf in the same way that it could. Stila. Oh boy. Stila, I don't remember the last time Stila did any sort of design upgrade, is one of those brands that I would walk by in a store and I'm like, wait, they're still here? The last thing I bought from Stila was one of those like glitter and glow eye cream things, the shimmer things, and it dried out so fast. But I've always really disliked the font for Stila, the actual logo, the kind of like grungy typewriter type of font. I feel like that's very early 2000s. It was very trendy then, and it's kind of fallen out of like design. It doesn't necessarily match the brand anymore because they used to put out more kind of whimsical things and stuff that matched the packaging, but now the stuff they come out with is not nearly as like, it doesn't have as much character. And I feel like having that kind of logo where it's very stylized doesn't match the overall kind of look of the brand. So some sort of like major, I don't know, major design change I think would do Stila some good. I don't even know what Stila's doing half the time these days. So the last thing I heard from Stila was they were like photoshopping swatches on arms to make arms look darker than they actually were. So what are they up to these days? I don't know. Still having a bad logo and weird designs.
Okay.
Now we're getting on to the few drugstore brands. And now drugstore brands are kind of hit and miss. I feel like some brands that could use a little bit of an upgrade. Milani, a lot of their stuff is super bulky. And I love Milani, don't get me wrong. I love the products that I've tried. And I think that they have a really decent selection for the drugstore when it comes to like color cosmetics, like blushes, eyeshadows, bronzers, highlighters. Like they have a lot of stuff, but their packaging is always so over the top and so much and just way bulkier than it needs to be. And also the font for Milani is just, again, kind of old, not very pretty. It has a serif, but it's like a really skinny font. So it's like really thin letters with serifs that just doesn't look super clean, and it looks outdated to me personally. I feel like if Milani switched to maybe a sans serif font or just a completely different type of style for the packaging and for the design, Milani might be able to jump off the shelves a little bit more in the drugstore. Yeah, Milani I think could use a little bit of a design upgrade. I'm not as big of a fan of the logo. And the blush packaging is the most obnoxious blush packaging I have ever owned.
So bad.
NYX is another one that I feel like could really use a design upgrade. Everything has looked so samey, so samey for so long. And honestly, that logo, I hate that font so much. The font is so specific and so stylized that, again, doesn't really match the feel of the brand now. They used to put out kind of like weirder stuff, and now they're still putting out some of that weirder things, but they're a lot more kind of focused on staples, and the font is just so stylized and like not necessarily nostalgic in a way. It hasn't hit the nostalgic point yet. Maybe it'll be nostalgic in like 5 years. I have no idea. NYX could use some packaging upgrade. And I keep thinking of those like the cream lipsticks, the regular cream bullet lipsticks. That's some of the worst lipstick packaging I've ever used in my life. It's so cheap and flimsy. Everything else, like the eyeshadow palettes that come in the 9-pan, are really boring, and it's just like very uninspired looking. And you can still have things that are inexpensive but still look cool. And then last but not least is probably the worst packaging, drugstore, not drugstore, across the board. Every time, this keeps me from buying any products from them. I mean, there's other things that make me mad about this brand, but Physicians Formula is some of the most ridiculous, over-the-top, unattractive, frankly, packaging and logo. The logo itself is really kind of old-fashioned. Again, it's very clinical, but very like just old feeling. It doesn't look new. It doesn't look now. It doesn't look pleasing to the eye. It's just like a word. Like it looks like they typed it into Word, into Times New Roman, and then they're like, here's the logo. Like it doesn't have anything special about it or unique. And then the actual packaging of the products is always so gaudy and so tacky, whether it's individual powders where everything's really boxy, and then they have a little like brush thing at the bottom of it. Lose that completely. Any brand, Milani does this too, where you have a powder and then there's like a little flap that opens up with a brush underneath it. Stop it, please. That's awful. Nobody uses those. So the packaging for Physicians Formula is also terrible. And then when they come out with collections, they'll have all of the products in this one like palette, but you'll have like 4 face powders and then a slot for a mascara, and then a slot for a brush, and then a slot for a spray, and then like a lipstick. It's just, there's all of this compartments for things that you're not going to keep in that palette and never makes sense. Like it never makes sense. It's always ridiculous and bulky and just unattractive. Whenever I look at Physicians Formula releases, I'm like, what year are these people designing products in? What year are they designing them for? People want minimal packaging. They don't want things that are over the top and just wasteful. Like when it comes to those palettes that have the extra little like slots for things, I'm far less likely to use it because there's all this empty space. There's all this empty wasted space where they could have just like had those as separate products. Like why did they have to fit into the palette? Because fitting that into the palette meant that you had to custom make the palette so that everything can fit in it. And then people are less likely to use it because they're not going to keep all of the products in those empty spaces. Like I said in a recent video, I am very much a Gemini, but when it comes to like makeup things, I feel like I give off a lot of Virgo energy, and this is no different. Yeah, these the Physicians Formula packaging and just all around the design, like the butter bronzer, it's really like kind of cutesy, but then they have some things that are like very like dermatologist tested and like clinical, and then some things that are like really tropical, and it just, there's no confident centralized theme for any of this stuff, and it's just never pretty to look at. I never look at something from Physicians Formula and I think, oh my god, I want that. I want it so bad. Sometimes I'll read the description on something, like the butter bronzers I've definitely wanted in the past, just because the idea of having a bronzer that smells like coconut sounds fun. I have a bronzer that smells like chocolate, so like I like smelly bronzers. Of all of the products that have a scent, bronzers I think are the most okay, besides like lipstick. Yeah, Physicians Formula is bad. Their packaging is awful. I want to redo it. I want to fix it. I want to change it. They either need to lean heavily into the name, like Physicians Formula, where you lean into that kind of clinical aspect, or you go the other direction and then almost like changing the name, like rather than calling it Physicians Formula, they could call it like PF Cosmetics or something, or PF something, you know, just doing something different that makes it not look like it was made to be sold inside Claire's. Maybe. Yeah, no, maybe so. Those are all the brands I wanted to talk about. I might do I don't know if I'd want to do this specifically, but I might do a video where I actually take a few of these logos and like make new ones, like what I would do if I could, and like mock up fake things. That might be kind of fun. Let me know if you would like me to do that. That could be fun. Again, thank you to Cozy Earth for sponsoring today's video. I very much appreciate it. Definitely go check the links down in the description, please and thank you. Today's song of the day, let's see. Oh, actually, today's song of the day is, I Want You Back by Haim. I was listening to this record the other day and I forgot how much I loved it. So Want You Back from Haim is your song of the day. Definitely go check it out if you have not already. Give this video a like if you did like it. It helps me out a lot, honestly. And then let me know down below which of these brands you would like me to come up with my own logos for. I didn't want to make this video that because I wanted to talk more broadly about the brands and the marketing and the logos and all of that specifically. And then maybe I'll go in and make my own in a different video. But let me know which ones you might want me to come up with my own for in the comments below. And if you would like to follow me elsewhere on social media, my Instagram and my Twitter are both Abers07, and then my Twitch is Abers without the 07, and I stream Sims stuff on the weekends. So definitely come follow me there if you like games and me and makeup, and usually we end up talking about anime at some point. That's kind of the vibe it's been lately. But yeah, go do that if you would like. And then subscribe to this channel if you want to see more of me. I am uploading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you have 3 chances every week to catch me in your subscription box. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you're having a good week so far, and I will see you all on Friday. Bye!